All right, now lab 4. Let me see. I'm expecting this to click. Why isn't it clicking? Lab 4. All right, probably I need to refresh because this was open since the morning. Okay, it's working. Lab 4. Okay. So you're supposed to go to submit, and if you go inside, edit, but usually it tells me the deadline. It says the deadline is on October 29. October 29 is basically Thursday evening. So Thursday evening is the deadline. Let me put the chat on because probably you're talking to me. Yeah, so it is Thursday evening, lab 4. Also, I would like to discuss a little bit your grades, not basically your grades, but I mean who did what and who's late, because this would be a good reminder. And I'm sorry I'm doing that in public, not in private, but I believe we are a small group and it's okay. This is lab report grade, so no big deal. All right, so let me move this a bit. Okay, and move the chat. All right, so you can see that lab 4, a lot of students did not submit lab 4 and the deadline is on Thursday, so you guys are fine. Is it only Ryan who is ahead? I don't want to make a big deal, and Gulnar as well, because probably this is how Ryan and Gulnar organize themselves. But I'm a little bit worried about the people who did not submit lab 3. I know Joe is not with us. He dropped the course. I know Hagop and Jeff are a bit late. Hagop and Jeff, please speak up in case you have any issue. Probably you already told me and I forgot. And why is my daughter crying? Mark and Michael, I don't know if they are with us, but they did not submit lab 3. Mark,
Doctor, I told you that Mark already dropped the course.
Oh, yes. It's obvious since he did not submit lab 2. What about Michael? All right, anyway, I can email those people to follow up on them. It's only because I need to push you and not because I need to blame you or anything. Now for the students who have 50%. And
yes, doctor, about that, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, the 50%.
I fixed lab 3 because it was also like lab 2, it was messy. But lab 2, I couldn't find it. I lost the documents. So maybe if you can send them to me by email so that I can fix them because I can't find them.
Of course, I can do that. Of course. But the only way for me to help you is for you to email me because after this session, I'm going to
do it right now.
Okay, yeah, please do it as we speak. Antonio, you need to postpone to Friday. And already your friends asked for this and I said no. If I would say yes, I need to correct lab 4 as soon as possible. By the way, let me write that the midterm, you have lab 0, comma lab 1, comma lab 2, comma lab 4 only. So no lab 5. Antonio, if we submit to, if we reschedule the deadline to Friday, I cannot reschedule lab 5, which means lab 4 is gonna be due Friday and lab 5 is gonna be Tuesday. Can you handle 2 labs in a certain time interval that is 5 days difference? So let's say I change it to Friday, but so if I say, so let me show you the calendar. Or I don't need the calendar because I know the dates. So if lab, Jessie, I'm a big mess. All right. So if lab 4 is due Friday, lab 5 must be due next Tuesday. Do you mind? You will have between Friday and Tuesday to finish lab 5. And by the way, lab 5 is easy. Bella, in the midterm, you have everything. Okay, my bad. You have up to lab 4. This is what I meant. I'm gonna change the deadline because the point is not to pressure you. The point is only to create a structure. And I want to say something very important. So Friday is 30. Okay, submit. All right. Okay, let me say something while I type. Your lab reports. Any grade below 70%, please repeat, must repeat. Okay, usually I never do that. The purpose of me doing that is only to make sure you understand your mistakes. Any other grades, it's up to you to repeat or not, optional to you to repeat or not. So it is optional. All right, I know this is a big deal. And by the way, from now on, it's group work. You know this? Did you already said that, group work? Do you know it's group work? Or I didn't say it?
Yes, doctor, you told us.
Okay, I already sent it in an announcement. All right. What else? What else?
You told us that lab 4 we could put group work, and we already grouped ourselves.
Yeah, okay. I already graded some, and I did not notice the group work. Do you think it was already group work and I did not see it? Let me check. I graded, I'm gonna check only one of the labs. Oh no, I was grading lab 3 and not lab 4. Okay, no problem. Do we pick our partners or will you choose? You pick whoever you want. And if you don't have a partner, you simply do the lab alone and you let me know that you don't have a partner, and I'm gonna see who's alone and I will let you know if you would like to join in the future. So don't waste your time, pick anybody you want. Only 2 students per lab report, don't be more than 2. And if you don't know anyone, just do the lab report alone and I will see that you are alone. That I probably will tell you who is alone as well. Did I make myself clear? All right, back to our document. So if you have, so for the students who want to repeat, sometimes it is a must. So when I give you a 50% grade, it means I want you to repeat. It doesn't mean that you are a bad person or you're not good in physics or probably your lab report is bad. Probably your lab report is okay, but I want you to repeat it, okay? Because I had in another class an A student. He is a very good student, but the lab report he presented was really bad the way it looked. I couldn't read it. I gave him 50% and then I ended up giving him 98% because the content was excellent. So when you see 50%, please don't be disappointed. It's only that I need your attention. And sometimes if I offer you 70%, you will ignore it and you will not come back to me. The 50% is the only thing that would wake you up, you know? So I just want your attention. That's the point. Because I want you to repeat something that is practically not really acceptable. So how do you submit your lab report again? Do you see this example? If you have a grade, submit again. It shows on my laptop an old grade and a new attempt. This is the only way for me to see that I need to grade you again. So I need to grade this again and this again. It will be great if Reynolds, you have a 70%. Probably you want to repeat this one. And by repeat, I mean work on the same document. Don't repeat everything from the beginning. Try to fix your mistakes. Read my comments. Ask me for a one-to-one meeting if you need help, or ask me simple questions via email. This is for me great improvement for you, and that's the point. The point is not for you to get random grades. It's for you to work on acquiring new skills, right? All right, so by simply submitting again, and you know, you have unlimited submission, so you can submit 15 times your lab report. But please don't do that because I cannot grade 15 times a lab report. All right, so that's it. Did I make myself clear? I think so. Otherwise, you let me know. All right, are we done talking about the midterm? I think we are. If you have any question to ask, you can ask me later on via email or next time I see you in a live session. Let's answer all the questions you have for previous labs. Any question you have, lab 4 or 3 or even 2 or even 1. Probably you have something that you don't understand. So I'm gonna wait a bit for students to ask questions.
I have a question.
Yes, which lab?
Not a specific lab.
Yes, general.
I'm asking, yes, generally speaking. The grade.
Okay.
percentage.
Okay, good
Is it
question.
actually on the arrangement or on the answers?
Oh,
Like
the way
the-
I grade the lab reports? Yes. So basically, all right, so Ali, significant figures. Okay. Actually, I will only grade the content. I will never grade the way the lab report looks like. One time or many times, I would say, I don't want to read this. I would give you 50% because I don't like your lab report. But the 50% is not a grade. It's only to push you to repeat. So I never grade the way the lab report looks like. But I remove grades for significant figures, all data analysis, a graph with no title, no unit, no label, because I believe if you don't have a title, label, and unit, basically it's an issue in your graph, and that's content and not the way it appears. I remove grades for all theoretical questions, all conceptual questions, any calculation mistake, so the content and not the way the lab looks. I write a lot of comments, use font 12, add a name and a date, but I don't remove points. It's only for you to improve how a lab report looks like. It's very important by the end of, by the end of October, for you to have a nice looking lab report, because you should be able to write a professional lab report. But this is never graded. It's only me writing remarks for you to improve, but never graded. So even if you give me the worst looking lab reports, you can have 100% if it's really full, Did I answer your question, Anthony?
Yes, we did. Thank you.
Did you mean any specific case? What's wrong with your grades? I'm worried about you.
No, nothing wrong. But
Yeah, let me tell you something. The lab report, as you see it, you can see some points, 2 points, 1 point, 3 points. I'm not following this, because if I do follow this, you get very low grades. Okay, so what I'm doing is the following. When you have a big mistake, I'm removing 5%. When you have small mistakes, it's like 2 small mistakes will be 5%. Because if I remove 1 point out of 10, that's 10%. And everybody would fail, So I'm trying not to follow this, especially with your class, because you guys are beginners in this matter. Okay? But Anthony, again, and everyone else, you are free to meet with me وتقلي Miss Jessie ما فهمت ليه أخذت 80%. I can tell you how I removed. It's your right to know. And I'm not writing it just for me to be quick and to give you more opportunities probably to repeat if needed, okay? But I do believe it's your right to know the micro key. So if in the future you want to know how come you got 84, let me know. Fine? All right, now back to Ali, significant figures. Ali, significant figures, you have rules to follow. And the only way for you to know the rules is to study the rules. So probably I can break it down into objectives and you study each objective and probably I can help you. One, you must know how to count sig figs. For example, if I give you a measurement and I ask you how many sig figs, you need to know how to count sig figs. 2, you must know how to round measurements. If I give you something and I tell you, please round it to 2 sig figs, you should know how to round. You need to know that all errors must be 1 sig fig. You need to know how to calculate with sig figs. For example, if you have addition, you're adding 2 numbers, and what would be the result? How many significant figures? If you have multiplication, what would be the result? You need to know how to round measurements by looking at the error, all right? So basically, I think, Ali, your problem is, let me tell you what are the common mistakes. Like everybody is doing this mistake. List the sources of errors. Today, I was so close to be crying, or so close to lose my mind, or so close to be laughing, like I didn't know what to do. You guys, the list of sources of errors your class is doing is horrible. And then I thought, since everybody is doing the same mistake, It's not you. Probably it's me not being able to explain it well. So I'm not blaming you. How come if you have a circuit, you say the error is friction? How come if you have a circuit, you would say the error is gravity? Come on, I gave you a general list of sources of errors just to give you an idea what I mean. So if I go back to the announcement related to the source of error that is here, friction and resistance, this is not in your experiment. All these in red are not your course. Think about those. But I decided to give you all this just for you to understand that sources of errors are something in your bench. You can see it. You know it exists, but you cannot get rid of it. For example, extra wires, they do have resistance, you know? I know, but I'm not being able to measure each wire with the springs and minus it from my answer. Probably I decide to neglect this or to ignore it, and this is a source of error. Limited precision of the measuring tool. Please don't be general. Tell me, which measuring tool did you use? The limited precision of the ammeter, the limited precision of my ruler. Human error. When you're handling equipment and moving your hands or taking, I don't know, many students said human error only in case you are measuring time. طب ما يا حبيبي in lab 3 you're not measuring time. You see? So when they ask you for the source of errors, check your experiment, check your setup, check the measurements you did only in this experiment. And what are the errors only in this case? You see what I mean? Please tell me you understand. Anyone speak up?
Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding lab 4,
yes.
We have in the same part 2 times to cite the sources of error. Should we repeat it? Should we repeat the same sources of error?
No,
in the part 1.
If you believe that you have exactly the same list, you can say same list as above. But sometimes you can add an idea or two depending if the setup is a bit different. Okay? And yes,
thank you.
And yes, always the connection wires will give you a source of error, Ratib. But be specific. Is it the resistance of the connection wire or the capacitance of the connection wire? Because it makes a difference, okay? And yes, more connection wires you have and more errors you have. Anthony, don't worry about electricity. Ali, did I answer your question with SIGFIX? Can you visit or revisit each and every concept alone by going back to lab 0? You have a lot of videos in lab 0. You can simply go on YouTube and say, how do I count SIGFIX? Or you can simply ask for a meeting with me and I can repeat each and every one. All right? Ali, I tried to break down those for you to be able to cover those. Okay? So common mistakes, list of the sources of error. Common mistakes, errors, or let me write the positive statement, must be rounded to 1 sig fig. All right? 90% of the students are not rounding errors to 1 sig fig. Measurements must be rounded accordingly. And let me explain what accordingly is. And here I would want to ask someone to show us his or her lab report, because I need to take you as an example. And I'm sorry for this. Remember, this is classwork, basically. It's not an exam. So don't be shy showing your grade. Okay, I'm gonna pick, I don't know, a random someone. Rudy. Is Rudy with us? Do you think Rudy would mind us looking at his lab report? Rudy, probably he's not here. It's bad to look at Rudy's lab report if Rudy is not here. Okay, I'm gonna take Rudy as an example and I hope Rudy can forgive me. So he said the area of the plate. He wrote the area and the error. Yes, thank you, Rudy, for forgiving me. By the way, I just noticed that you have a mistake. This will not affect your grade, it's okay. This is the error on the diameter, not on the area. Okay, so this is the error on the diameter. To find the error on the area, you have to do propagation of error. Okay, I did not see it, I was going too fast, but what I liked is the error is 1 sig fig. Now 2 decimals, perfect. 1 sig fig, awesome. 1 decimal, perfect. Here you have 3 sig figs and all the way 3 sig figs, so all these must be 3 sig figs. 3 sig figs for 1 over d. I cannot see a charge title, I don't see labels, I don't see unit, and this is awful. And by the way, a lot of students have some issues with graph skills. Okay, and this is happening only in your class because you guys are beginners, and I totally understand. Okay, so now if I look at the slope, I was so happy to see the slope, perfect unit. He explains the unit. Some students have the unit to be wrong. And he explains that the slope represents epsilon 0a. Everybody knew this. So look at you, you're good in physics. It's only data analysis that you lack. He found epsilon 0. Error on the slope, ما بعرف شو عمل. Let's assume this is not a wrong answer. It has to be rounded to 2, and please add units. And when you go back to the slope, you see the slope in here, 2 has no decimals. So you cannot write 24.4, it has to be 24. So Rudy, eventually your answer would be 24 plus or minus 2, and the unit is picofarad dot centimeter. So since let me show you. Yeah, this is a little bit not superb to use. All right, so this is one significant figure. Then you look for decimals, they should match in the number of decimals. Do I make sense? Is Ali with me? Because this would help Ali as well. So error on the slope cannot be 2 sig figs. And then Rudy بيبعت لي كل هيدا not typed. It has to be typed. I'm really sorry, Rudy. You have to learn how to use equation editor. بس أكيد I cannot remove grades for the way your lab report looks like. But at some point, Rudy, in the future, I would say I cannot grade your lab report. You have to repeat your work. ليك رودي شو عمل؟ The error on epsilon 0 طلعت معه 1 sig fig. Excellent work. وين الunit? You need a unit. Okay, unit. Also, when you go back to epsilon 0, your epsilon 0 is 9.71 times 10 to the negative 2. And this is 7 times 10 to the negative 3. So how about you write both without 10 to the power and make sure they have the same number of decimals? Because you have to round this one. You cannot keep 3 significant figures. So let me do it for you. I'm gonna write epsilon 0 to be, okay, this is lagging because of the recording, 0.0971, am I right? So yes, plus or minus, can I write plus or minus 0.007. Now look, 3 decimals, this is 4 decimals, so it's gonna be 0.097, and I'm gonna get rid of the, what am I call it? I'm gonna get rid of the 1, because 3 decimals are enough to keep because my error is 3 decimals, okay? Now for the unit, I don't know what the unit is. Most probably it's PF/centimeters, and I have no idea if he's right or wrong, but I can check PF times centimeters divided by centimeters squared, so the unit is right. Okay, now the question is, errors of capacitor, the error should be in SI unit. Nothing must be in SI unit, especially we're doing lab work, and you know, in the lab, sometimes when we have very small values, we need to use picofarad. As long as you guys have no issues to follow up on the unit with no mistakes, don't use SI units. Unless you have no choice. For example, if you want to say Q is equal to C times V. Yes, Q is in coulombs, C is in farad, and V, the potential difference, is in volts. For you to get volt, you need SI units. You cannot use picofarad and microcoulombs and expect to get volts. So if you know how to mingle the units with no mistakes, don't use SI units. If you are scared to mingle the units, use SI units. What is SI? Oh, no, keep it in picofarad, no problem. I think your Excel graph will look nicer in picofarad because it will give you better sig figs for the slope. All right, so this was work to be done to be able to find the error on the slope. Epsilon 0 written again, percentage difference beautiful, bigger than 5%, not accurate. Look at the sources of errors. Friction. شو بعمل برودي؟ شو خص friction? You know, friction happens with motion. Horizontal bench. Horizontal bench is to encounter the gravitational field being downward. شو gravity? يا برو شو بيك gravity؟ وين في gravity بالcapacitor? So those are usually applicable for mechanics. I think you misunderstood my list. All right? So now I believe you guys understand that the list was general. I took mechanics as an example because I thought mechanics is easy for you and probably you'll understand the point. But I doubt gravity will take any affection. It will not affect, you know, your experiments in any way. The tools we used are not exactly precise. This one is good, okay? And then let me just discuss significant figures. This is beautiful. Please round this to 1 sig fig. It's the error on something. It has to be 1 sig fig. And if you look here, by rounding this to 1 sig fig, you should round this as well. So probably it's going to be 1.620. You need 3 decimals. And here you need 3 decimals as well. And if I keep on checking the rounding, this is beautiful, but please type. Next time, Rudy, I'm not going to read it, just to force you to type, because typing takes time and it's a skill you learn. And the more you type, the faster you become, and you need to write lab reports in the future. I don't want to send you to another lab where you don't know how to type equations. All right? Because later on, the labs are going to be more difficult. Here you need an extra 0. Come on, that was a mistake, Rudy. I know you did it because you were fast, and I know you know this. In series, the capacitance cannot be added. You know this, Rudy? I'm sure you know this. Okay? And probably it was done by mistake. So that's it. Ali, did I answer your question with significant figures? All errors must be 1 sig fig. All right, I don't know what to add. Probably wait for you to ask me a question. Which lab do you need help with? Do you have any questions? Lab 4 is a bit easy because you only need to do RMS and averages. And you know where to find RMS and averages in the videos to watch again. Okay, lab 0, you have...
Doctor, lab 4.
Yes.
You and I, how we calculate the error? We say that the multimeter do the work, or we do the propagation of error?
Oh, listen. All right, I know what you mean. So you are given, that's an example, you are given U to be equal to 1.0432 for whatever. Yeah, it was 4 decimals volt, plus or minus, right? Okay. Remember, if you have a digital measuring tool, and you know it's digital from the video, لأنه I was using Data Studio and I was taking the smart tool. The smart tool gives me coordinates, numbers. I was not counting on a ruler. I was reading the values on a digital screen. So it's a digital measuring tool. All right, Ali, I will get back to you. All right. It's
Doctor. So the current, the error on the current is 0.1?
Yes, you take all the decimals. So if you have 4 decimals in this case, you say 0.0001 volts. And for the ampere, check how many decimals you have. So for the digital measuring tool, I was very close to say, you just write the smallest subdivision and you don't divide by 2. Do not divide by 2. Only for analog measuring tools, you divide by 2. Okay, so this is the error. Did I answer your question, Joe?
So we count how many digits we have.
How many decimals? Yes.
Decimals, okay.
Yeah, if you have 3 decimals, like in this case, you give 3 decimals. In other words, it's the last digit that is fluctuating. And we say plus or minus 1 because it's digital. Okay? For analog, you take all this and you divide by 2. let me write it down. Ruler, and a ruler is analog. And what I do with the ruler, smallest subdivision divided by 2. And it is 0.1 centimeter divided by 2, which would be 0.05 centimeters, if I'm not wrong. Okay? Because it's analog, I divide by 2. Otherwise, I'm not supposed to divide by 2. All right. So, Ali, it's very simple. The best way to make sure you understand is to go over this, prepare your questions, meet with me. If you have so many questions, I think we should meet. If you believe you can write your questions in an email, let me try to answer your questions. All right? But I will read Lab 0 again and search a bit online and write a list for Jessie, and Jessie can meet with you to answer your questions. All right, you're not supposed to use the SMART tool in Lab 4. Let me go to Lab 4, it's here. I used the SMART tool and I gave you the results. Probably if I go into the lab report, I will show you what I mean. It's wrong to download the files because I already have them. Yes, let me show you. So back to you, Joe. All right, so I used the SMART tool to be able to find those, and I wrote them for you. Since you're not doing the measurements, and that's too bad for you, too bad for me because I'm doing the measurement, and too bad for you because you're not being able to do it anyway, you would see that this is 3 decimal, 3 decimal, 3 decimal. So I'm gonna write the error to be 0.001 ampere. And here 3 decimals, so it's gonna be 0.001 volt. Okay, same for this one, same for this one. لأنه digital measuring tool. كيف عرفت digital؟ الفيديو بيقول لي إنه جيسي كنت عم تستعمل the data studio, and obviously it's digital. All right, so
yes.
the error on the error on V you can find it. Error on I you can find it. Error on R is not a measurement. So you tell me how to do it. What is your question?
Question 1.
Yes, Ratib, I totally agree. Question 1. Yeah, what's wrong with question 1? Fill in the table 1 using the SMART tool. I did it for you. So question 1, Jessie did it.
Okay. Question 3.
Find the average. Okay. In question,
for each resistor. So we find the average for each resistor. R equal 10 and R equal 33.
Yeah, for each resistor. So if you find R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, you do the average, you get something close to 10 ohms. And you do the RMS. Then you repeat for the 33 ohms.
We draw a table.
If you want, you can do a table, or you can write a list with commas in between, anything you want.
Okay.
But if I were you, I would say insert a column to the right, وبحط R هيك وبعمل هيدي merge. That's why I'm giving you a template. تعمل the R's وبتعمل هون the same وبتعمل هون تحت. You can do this وفيك تكتب هون merge. merge وبكتب هون average. And you can do whatever you want, you know. Average بتحط هون الافريج بتكتب حتى plus or minus بتكتب the RMS. Right? Do whatever you want.
No need the steps.
No, you can simply say I calculate the average and using this method, and the answer is in the table. All right?
Yes.
It's up to you to do anything you want. I'm giving you a template, and by template, I mean you can modify anything you want. But I want you to give me eventually a nice looking lab report with a title, a date, some names. I want to see the tables, the graphs, titles. Create some space between the questions because I need to write some comments. Use a reasonable font. Like some classes, they're really young, they're freshmen, they use font 16, and this is not appropriate. It has to be Times New Roman or anything very similar to it, font 12, because it's an official lab report. Where can I find the lab report after your correction? Can't you go on Blackboard? On Blackboard where you submitted, I guess, RMS means error, right? Okay, Hagop, did we answer your question related to the lab report? Because you need to go and see it with the comments. This is very important, okay? I don't know, for me, I can go into grading. Do you have any grade center assignments or something? All right, Joe, the nominal value is the one written on the resistor. The theoretical value is usually the calculated value. When I do U equals RI and, you know, but sometimes you don't have a theoretical value.
Yes.
All right.
I forgot this, yes.
Yeah, RMS means error, right? So RMS is the error on the average. Okay, it's not any error. So RMS means root, mean square, and it is the error on the average. Okay, so you guys, I want you to do like my medical school students. They know how to study and they are very efficient. بيحضروا a list of questions, especially the girls. They're so good in it and I'm really impressed. I'm not saying guys cannot do this, but girls are really organized. What they do, بيحضروا a list of questions and I can see you have excellent list of questions. And they ask for a meeting أو بيبعتوا لي email بيدرسوا لي فيها 1 2 3 4 5 like 8 questions and I answer each. Do that and I'm sure you can fill in your gaps or your mistakes. The nominal value isn't the experimental. I would say experimental is the one you measure, theoretical is the one you calculate, and nominal is neither experimental, neither theoretical. Okay, let me go to the lab reports. They say calculate the experimental value, so I use the measurements. Compare the nominal, compare the experimental to the nominal. So nominal is neither experimental, neither theoretical. It's something written. It's something that usually I do not trust because it's written. بتجي من المعمل وانتو you know they manufacture those resistors in bulk يعني بيقولوا كل هو 10 ohms. طب okay بس what's the precision? You have a tolerance by the way that says all the resistors we have in the lab, they have a 5% tolerance, which means all the nominal values are within 5% range of error, which is a lot. What is question number 9? Fill in the table below using the smart tool. I did it for you. Joe, did I answer your question for number 9?
Yes. Question number 9.
So question number 9, I did it for you.
Oh, no need to do.
Yes. Question number 10, you do the calculation. You would see that all the fill in the table, measuring and stuff is done by me. Okay? It's bad for you and bad for me. Yes, of course, ask me any question you want. I hope this is being recorded and the students are listening to their questions. And don't worry about lab 5, because lab 5, I mean this, because lab 5 is gonna be so easy. You will be surprised. So easy and nice for both of us, for you and for me. And probably you can get 95 or 100. Yes, what's your question?
In part A,
yeah.
The given value is the nominal value or the theoretical value, R equal 10.
R equals 10 is nominal. It's written on the resistor. And you can see it in the video, because in the video I show you the board وبقرب the board هيك على الكاميرا and I tell you 10 ohms, 33 ohms. It's written on it. I never did the measurement. If I would get an ohm meter and I plug the ohm meter across the resistor, this is where I can tell what's the measured value. I can measure the value indirectly by doing I and V and finding the ratio of V over I. Although V over I is two measured values, but I'm doing calculation. But the best way to get the measured value is to go and do the measurement with an ohm meter. This is not a measurement. It was simply written on it. You see?
Yes, yes.
More questions, please. Please type in the chat or unmute yourself and ask questions. I would want to know how many participants we are, because I never had the chance to look. 18 participants, so we have 17 students. Awesome.
Doctor,
Yes.
as we did our calculation, we found that we had a percentage error of 5.1%. And is it accurate? And تقريبا 5. And we can consider it's accurate, ما هيك كده؟
Listen, you are the boss. Okay? And you can write it the way you want. You can say anything below 5% is accurate. 5.1 would be considered okay. فيني أقول لك شيء أنا؟ In other words, I'm trying to tell you, and the lab report is an open answer question. In other words, you have the right to analyze it the way you want. Probably Rudy would say 5.1, probably I want to round it to 1 sig fig for a reason. All right? But the general rule, Ludovic, the general rule states below 5% is accurate, above 5% is not accurate. If you want to consider, if you want to consider 5.1 to be accurate, it's up to you. I'm not gonna be against you, but try to give me a reason to convince me. Okay.
Deal.
So this is a lab report. It's not a homework. It's not an assignment. In the course, it's different. You have one answer. A lab report, you don't have one answer. I grade your analysis, the way you write. I grade your if you can convince me or not. You know, sometimes two opposite answers are both right, because I agree with your idea, even though your answer is different. And this is the beauty, and we're doing research, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we go to question 12 and 13? Yes. Sketch the VI curve of the light bulb at 1 Hertz. The best way to do number 12 is to go back to the video, pause the video when you see the curve, the graph, take a screenshot, insert in your document, or draw with a pencil on a paper the shape of the graph, which was the butterfly shape. And number 13, what would be the shape at 50 Hertz? Also, you can see the shape in the video. Explain why the curve depends on the frequency. I cannot help you with this one. I want you to do some reading. Behavior of the bulb, ohmic device or not? Does it behave like an ohmic device or not? If you cannot find the answer, probably I can give you a hint, but I would want you to do some reading first. All right, Joe?
Okay, so we think about temperature.
Temperature is an excellent way to start your research, because temperature is what makes the light bulb not to be an ohmic device. Now you still need to know how frequency will affect the temperature, and it's not difficult if you observe in the video how the bulb is turning on and off. Probably it can tell you a bit about the heating up of the bulb, and I'm not gonna say more because I already said a lot. Okay?
Yeah, yes.
More questions? Now Joe is asking for everyone. Probably everyone else did not have the chance to think about this lab. That's why they don't have questions. But your questions, Joe, are being recorded. So it's like everybody is gonna be it's gonna benefit from your questions. Any more questions before I move to lab 5?
One more question.
Yes, of course, go ahead.
When we calculate the resistance,
Where?
in the table like here, yes.
Number 10?
Yes, we take
V over I.
3 decimals.
All right.
Or
okay. Very good question, by the way. You do V over I. You write anything. V over I, you write anything. V over I, you write anything. Then you find the error on each. So plus or minus for each. Plus or minus for each. And plus or minus for each. How do you know you find the error? You do propagation of error. Propagation. لحظة شو صار هلا بالله. Here, I was writing it. ما بتفهم? Okay. Propagation of error. You do the propagation of error for each and you will get different answers. So each R has a different error. So it's wrong to write it in here. Okay?
Yes,
and then
the answer of R, it should be
I'm not done.
3 decimals.
I'm not done. Let me continue. When you do the error, you round the error to one significant figure, one significant figure, one significant figure. And then you take the error, you count how many decimals, how many decimals, how many decimals, and then you decide if your answer is gonna be 2 decimals or 3 decimals or probably 4 decimals. Okay?
Oh,
So
okay.
the best
So
way,
I don't look at.
no need to look. Usually we look at those division, we look for
Yes,
significant figures if we do not have the error. But if we do have the error will tell me how to round. When your error is one sig fig, you can tell if it's 1 decimal or 2 or 3, and then you answer accordingly. This is a very important rule, and I hope Ali is making sense out of it. Ali, I want to give you an example. Can you please unmute yourself? And I hope this example will be beneficial for everyone else. R is 10.432 ohms, and the error on R is 0.0124 ohms. I want you to round the error. How do you round it?
0.01.
Why?
Because one significant figure.
Thank you so much. Now, how do you round R?
To 2 decimals, so 10.43.
Okay, ohms. Excellent work. I think, Ali, you understood the most important area of significant figures, and it is this item and this item. So you just ticked out 2 items out of your list. Now item 1, 2, and 4, they are super easy. This is high school level. You can get it by simply finding one YouTube video or going back to lab 0. How to count sig figs, everybody knows this. How to round, I think you know how to round. Calculate with sig fig, probably this one is a little bit big. You can simply find it anywhere, okay? Or meet with me if you want, Ali. You don't need to search if you have me, okay? So that's for Ali. All right, shall we move to lab 5? I'm gonna go fetch lab 5. Please stop me at any moment if you believe you still have any question. And if you, is that for me? Lab 5. And if you remember any question later on, please email me, no problems. Okay, 1 second, manuals and lab report. Ah, they're all combined in one. Yes, it's me who are splitting each lab alone because I'm modifying them a bit. Okay, let me go find lab 5. Lab 5 is so easy and I'm not gonna give you any result. That's the beauty of it. All the results are observational results, no measurements, okay? Connect one light bulb to the DC power supply, sketch the circuit. You need to sketch. Please do it on a paper, take a picture, insert your picture here. What happens if you reverse the wires across the light bulb and across the D cell? I'm gonna reverse the wire in the video and you write your observation. So you will watch the video and write down what you see. Construct 2 light bulbs different way, like one in series, one in parallel, write down what happens, draw the circuit, type series, type parallel. This is really introductory. You will find it super easy. Compare the brightness. You cannot compare the brightness unless you watch the video and you see the brightness in the video. I'm gonna show you the video now in fast forward, okay? Because you can watch it later. Write the power, compare. Probably the video is gonna be a bit different than the lab report because I did one video for 2 classes and the lab reports are a little bit different. But I think they're the same. Probably they have few more questions, okay? Maybe I can give you their lab report. Like you will have the same lab report and you will be less confused. All right, now let me show you the video And let me stop only for 2 ideas. I think it's here, lights and circuit boards. All right. It's a big video, it's one video, and I'm not stitching many videos together. And you will see only this picture. Okay, let me explain a bit what you have. This is a big board. I'm not gonna use the battery sockets because I do not trust batteries. Usually we used to put 1.5 and 1.5 and put those in series, so I get 3 volts. But every time I touch the batteries, the 3 volt changes into 2.5 and sometimes 0.8, and it's gonna be like a variable, and I hate this. I want a constant. So what I did instead, I connected those banana wires to a power supply, and I made sure the power supply is giving me a constant voltage. I also got a voltmeter, connected the voltmeter across the power supply to see 2.85 volts exactly. And I will keep the voltmeter next to your bench all the time because I want you to make sure you see a constant voltage all the time. What do you have on this board? Let me move this a bit, it's bothering me. Okay, you have empty vacant springs. These are vacant, empty springs. Usually you can put resistors and capacitors on those. I'm not gonna use them. You have bulb 1, 2, and 3. They are not connected together and they are identical. I mean by identical, if you give them the same voltage, same current, they give you the same brightness. And if you connect them in series, the voltage is distributed equally among them because they are identical. I'm gonna use very thin wires to connect the power supply to one bulb or to 2 bulbs and to connect them in series and in parallel. This is a switch, I'm not gonna use it. This is a transistor socket, I'm not gonna use it. This is a rheostat, and the rheostat is a variable resistor. It has 1, 2, 3 terminals. I'm gonna use only 2 terminals, 2 legs. By the way, those are connected under the board to the legs of the rheostat. And I'm gonna turn the knob clockwise and counterclockwise while it's connected in series with one bulb, and you will see the bulb going on and off slowly depending on the increase in resistor or decrease in resistance. Let me show you quickly what's in the video. I'm explaining what's on the video so you can listen again. I'm explaining why I'm using a power supply, and this is the power supply. It was too heavy and too big, but I'm only showing you. And I'm explaining why I'm using a voltmeter for you to monitor a constant voltage. I tried 3 volts, but for some reason it kept on dropping down to 2.8. It doesn't matter as long as it's a constant voltage. Okay, 2.89. Then here I'm showing you, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
Please interrupt me.
The first generator on the top for the first circuit.
So the generator I have here, this one, it's gonna be connected to anything I want. So far, it's not connected to anything. So I put the wires in here, waiting to connect to a bulb. And before I start the connections, Joe, I wanted to make sure that the bulbs are functioning. So I took the banana wires and connected to each bulb. What if one of the bulbs is not functioning? Because all the boards, إذا بهزها للبulb بتنطفي. بدي أتأكد إنه ماشي, otherwise بدي أصلحها, you know? So yes. I made sure all the bulbs are functioning, and I showed you in the video that they have the same brightness. Then I started the connection. جبت a very thin wire, حطيتها على هيدا الspring, so connected to the blue, another wire connected to the red, and showed you that this one is functioning. Then I disconnect. Actually, I reversed the wires to show you, and no, the brightness did not change. I want to do the experiment, and I want you to observe. Then I'm connecting 2 bulbs in parallel. You see wire 1, wire 2? They are in parallel. You can discuss the brightness. Same, less or more. Then I remove the wires. By the way, you can do this like boomerang, going in, forward, backward, to observe the brightness. Any change in brightness? I don't know. You answer in the lab report. Then
they seem less.
I don't know. You can say they seem less. And probably Anthony would say they will seem same. It doesn't matter. Whatever you observe, you write. And observation is subjective. بركي أنت ما بتقشع منيح. But your explanation should follow your observation. So I don't care what your observation is. I don't care what your conclusion is. I'm here to grade your analysis. يعني بتقلي this is what I observed. This is my analysis. This is my conclusion. All right? وأكيد أكيد أكيد next time I see you, we're gonna sit for a moment and discuss the answers. Or not, because the deadline is Tuesday evening, so it's wrong for me to give you the answer before the deadline. So probably by Wednesday, I can write you an email to discuss a bit the behavior of the bulb, because it's coming in the exam on Friday, okay? But it's something easy, all right? So, and then I connect them, so those are, what am I doing? I'm doing a parallel connection, all the three together. So check, is the brightness ever changed? Yes, it's this Friday, not this Friday, no, the Friday after. November 6th at 6. The midterm is November 6th at 6. I'm gonna write it in an official announcement. Okay? So it's after lab 4. Now this is lab 5, right? Lab 5 is not in the midterm. Thank you so much. So I don't need to give you feedback before the midterm. All right, thank you for asking. Why do you want Joe to postpone lab 5 to Thursday? I don't see any reason. First, it's not in the midterm. Two, it's very simple. We're talking about the brightness of the bulb, and you don't have any calculation, any data analysis to do. And it's group work, and it takes 10 minutes to finish. I don't see there is a reason to postpone, Joe. Is the midterm online? Yes, online. It's not gonna be on campus. All right, so Ali, you say that I saw the same brightness. Now your job is to figure out why you saw the same brightness. Probably by looking at the bulbs and the circuit, you will compare parallel to series, and then you think probably it's due to voltage, probably it's due to the current. So Ali, take your time to observe the different connections, series and parallel. I'm sure you can tell without my help, okay? You need time for the exam. Joe, I was thinking that we have time for the exam. What do you mean? So we can ask questions. All right, so you want the Tuesday so you can have time to study for lab 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and probably not think for lab 5. Still, you did not convince me to postpone lab 5, because still lab 5 is very simple. I say finish lab 5 as quick as possible, and if you have extra questions, you can meet me anytime from Tuesday up to Friday to ask any question you have, or email me, okay? خلصوا lab 5 وخلصوا منه. Lab 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 are gonna be more difficult, okay? I want us to move on beyond lab 5. No need to postpone, okay? Trust me, you can.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
Midterm gonna be MCQ or what?
Good
What's
question.
the format of that?
I don't know. Usually, it has 2 parts. One part MCQ.
Test.
Yeah, the midterm. One part MCQ, and one part is usually a mini lab report where you plot and you do averages and RMS and errors and stuff. The part MCQ, you simply click on the answer. The part that is subjective, you solve it on a paper and you send me a picture. And you can use Excel, you can use your calculator, you can do whatever you want. The only difficulty you will face is the timing. It's gonna be a very fast exam. So be ready to answer fast. You don't have the time to learn how to find the RMS during the exam. So be ready. Okay? Back to this video, I'm gonna go fast. Ask me any question. All right, Mark. Here I'm showing you how I'm doing the connections in series, and I'm explaining. I'm showing you the brightness. You see how weak the brightness is? This will give you a hint, Ali, on why the brightness is behaving as such. And then there's a question where you need to unscrew. Unscrew means you have to remove a bulb. Check, I just removed a bulb. يعني unscrew. برمتها وإمتى. And you will see that the brightness will be affected or not while I unscrew the bulb. رجعت رديتها. And I think I did the same in series. عم برجع أرد لك in series كمان عملت unscrew or not ما بعرف. Check the video and you watch it slowly. And then here I'm connecting through the, let me show you. You have a series connection, a rheostat and one bulb. And now I'm gonna turn the rheostat right and left, and you will see that the brightness will be affected. You're gonna write what you see and you're gonna explain why you see it. And it's gonna be over. And you see throughout the experiment, the voltage is constant, and that's the beauty of the power supply. And that's why I did not use a battery. So if in the lab report they say 3 light bulbs, battery, voltage, do not exceed 2 volts, I was using do not exceed 3 volts. So probably I'm gonna change this to 3. DC power supply, awesome. Oh, why did we say 2 volts? Because the students were doing the experiments and we were too scared that you guys exceed 3 volts and burn a bulb. I think your bulb will get destroyed above 3.5 or 4 volts. So since we do not trust the students because they are beginners, بنقول لهم do not exceed 2. لأنه usually بيحرقوا كل البulbs وبنقضي كل اللاب نغير bulbs, which is okay, but sometimes we do not have enough bulbs for everyone. All right, so I'm done. That's it. Please, please, please ask me any question you have anytime you want. And let me help you fill in your gaps, answer your questions. I don't know, correct your mistakes. The midterm is gonna be a rehearsal for the final exam. This is the reason why we do a midterm, because I don't want to throw you on a final exam without any rehearsal, okay? I'm gonna stop recording. I'm staying here. If you can leave if you want, or stay behind.